In this video, we are going to learn about how to convert data types. So I'm just going to create a new JavaScript file. Let's call this 04 converting types.js. But I'm not going to write the JavaScript within this file because the problem is, as you can see in the console, it's taking up too much space. It's displaying also the file name. So what I am going to do from this point on, I'm going to write everything in the app.js right here. I'm going to comment everything out. And then at the end of the lecture, we're going to copy everything into this file, so the converting data types, so you will have everything separated. Okay, so let's get started. We, first of all, we're going to type in here comment of converting data types, so we just know where we started and when we're finishing. So converting types. And let's actually type here a comment so we know this is the end of it. Let's go into our HTML and let's comment in app.js. Okay, now let's go back into our app.js. Let's really quickly go over data types again. So JavaScript, type in here comment, data types. So in JavaScript, we have 5 different data types that can contain values. So let's type in here comment of data types that contain values. So as I said, there are 5 of them. I'm just going to copy them in. There are strings, numbers, booleans, objects, and functions. So these 5 data types can contain values. There are also 6 types of objects. So let's type in here another comment. Types of objects. I'm going to copy them in, go very quickly over them. So there's the object, the data, the date, array, strings, number, and booleans. And there are 2 data types that cannot contain values. So data types that can not contain values. Okay, and those are null and undefined. Okay, now let's just initiate a variable. We initiate a variable called with let, and we're going to name it var type. So I'm not going to assign it a value, I'm just going to initiate it. And down here I'm going to console log the variable var type. And as you can see, it is undefined. So it doesn't have a value. Now let's assign it a value. And let's say that var type will have a value of, let's say 35, a number. Now, how can we convert this number to a string? First, let's check the type of the variable. As you can remember, we can check the type with the type of operator. Okay, so type of var type is a number. We can also check the length of it. So I'm just going to copy this console log. Now var type, and now just type in here length. This will give us the length of the var, which is undefined. We cannot check its length because it's a number. So now what we can do is convert this number into a string. So let's type in here comment converting numbers into strings. And there is a method for this. And the method is called string. So let's type in here comment string, open and close parentheses, method. And the global method string can convert numbers to strings. It can be used on any type of number, literals, variables, or expressions. So if I would type in here, so grab onto the variable var type that we created and assign it to string, you can see this is a method, allows manipulations of formatting of text string and determines determination and location of the substring within the string. So let's choose this string, and within parentheses I'm going to type in here again 35. Now if I would console log the type, the var type, and now let's search for the length. As you can see, it already converts it into a string. It's not blue as displayed here, because if I would check the type of var type, it's now a string. It's no longer a number. Up here you can see it's still a number, and down here after I used string method, it converts it into a string. So now I could take this and delete the type of and check its length. So dot length. Now it prompts me that it has the length of 2. So the 3 and the 5, it has 1 and 2. So it has 2 values in it. Now let's say I would like to make an operation with this. So var type, assign it to the string method. And now let's just type in 3 plus 5. Now let's console log this. So the var type. Let's see what happens. It prompts me with 8. And now if I would check the length of this, so length, it's only 1. Okay? Because this is a method, it actually takes the operation, it executes it, converts it into a string, and then it prompts me that it has the length of 1. Because 8 was the sum of 3 plus 5. Now let's take another example. Let's convert arrays to string. So array to string. So let's take this var type. Let's take the variable of var type, create a array, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's console log it. Actually need to close it up here. So console log the var type. Okay, it prompts me that this is an array. Now if I would use the var type and the string method on it, so string, and within parentheses I'm going to include the string again, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now let's console log this. You can see now it prompts me with a string, so it's no longer an array, and I could actually check it by typing in the type of. You can see it is a string. If I take it out, it will show me the string of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's take a look at the toString function. So let's type in here another comment, and this is basically the same as the string method, but it is a function. So this will be toString, and it looks this way. And the toString function in JavaScript is used with a number and converts the number to a string. It is used to return a string representing the specified number object. So let's take our variable of var type and assign it within parentheses, let's say the number 7 dot to string. You can see it already pops up here, and open and close parentheses, Now let's console log the var type. You can see it prompts me with the number 7, but it's actually a string now. Let's check it by typing in type of var type. You can see it is a string and not a number. So it's basically the same that we did up here. So I would change it to 35. Just a sec. So 35 type of, it is still a string. If I take up the type of, it will prompt me with a string of 35. I can also check the length of this. So dot length. You can see it's 2. If I were typing here, then it's 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now let's convert a string to a number. Let's type in another comment, string to number. For example, if I would take the var type variable, and now we can use the number operator. Actually, it's a function. So if I would type in here a string of 35 and console log the var type, it will prompt me with a number of 35. So let's check the type of var type. It's a number. We just converted this string into a number. Now let's see what happens if I would take this and type in here the name of Norbert, and let's take out this. It will prompt me with not a number. NaN stands for not a number. So if I would check the type of var type, it prompts me that the type is a number, so it's trying to convert it to a number, but it checks within the string and it recognizes that it's not a number. So let's try now to convert an array. So var type, and we'll assign it to number, and then let's type in here an array of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let's see what this prompts us with. So the type of will be a number, and if we take out the type, it will prompt with not a number. So we cannot convert regular strings and variables into numbers because they need to be a number. Now let's take a look at the parseInt function, which parses a string argument and returns an integer of the specific type. So let's type in here var type and use the parseInt. And I will type in here, let's say 120, something like that. So now let's console log the var type again. And you can see it returns a number. We could also use parse float. So actually I'm going to use it up here. So var type and assign it to parse float. And what parse float does, parse float is also a function that parses an argument, converting it to a string first if needed, and then returning a floating point number. So I'm just going to use here actually this should be a string, so 102.54. You can see it parses it with decimals. If I would check now the type of, it is a number, and I could also use on this the toFix. Let me just really quickly show you this. So var type dot toFix, and let's type in here the number 3. You can see it moves, it actually adds a decimal. If I would go with 5, it adds 5 after the comma. If I would go with only 1, then it's 105. So it moves, it allows us to include more than one decimal. So if I would do, for example, let's just create two new variables. So first one will be let type. I'm just going to give this the name of var type underscore 1 and assign this a value of 10, and let's copy this, and the second one will be 2, and this should have the value of 22. Now let's create another variable, so let, which will be the sum of var type 1 plus var type 2. Let's close this up. Now let's console log the sum. So console.log sum. Let's see what happens. So just added these two numbers together. If I would check the type of the sum, you see it is a number. Now let's take this sum and convert it into a string. So I'm going to leave, should I leave this in? Yeah, I could leave this in, and let's not take the var type 1 and convert it into a string. So we'll use string, and let's insert the number 10 here, and var type 2 I'm going to just leave at 22. Now let's create another variable of sum2, and this will be the var type 1 plus the var type 2, and close it up. And now let's console log the sum2, and let's see what happens. So this results in a string of 1022. So it didn't make a calculation, which up here, where do we have it? Let me actually take out the type of. You see up here, it actually made the calculation, and 10 plus 22 results in 32. And down here, it took the number, changed it into a string, and then added the number to the string. That is why it's not 32, but it's 1022. And if we check the type of this, you will see it is not a number, but it is a string. Okay, now let's take a look how we can convert Booleans to strings. So let's type in here another comment, converting Booleans to strings. And we'll use the global method string, which can convert Booleans to strings. So if I would take, let's say, the var type again, and reassign it the value of string, and within here true, okay, which is a Boolean. Now let's console log this. So var type, you can see it prompts me with true. Let's check the type of this. So type of, you can see it is a string and is not a Boolean. If, let me just change this, I will take out the string, it will be a Boolean. Now let's change it to false. It's still a Boolean, but if I comment this out, so let's copy the false, type it into the string, and comment out this, you can see it's a string again. Let's also take out the type of, it prompts me with a string of false. We can also use the toString method. So let's type in here var type is equal to false dot toString. Now if I would console log this, var type, you can see it results again to false. So actually, let me comment this to out up here. So only have this, and let me change this to var type bool boolie. Let me leave it at bool. Okay, so let me change it in here. You can see it's false and it is a string. We can also check the type of. So it's basically the same thing. Now let's convert the Boolean into a number. So let's type here another comment, converting Booleans to numbers. And we will again use the global method number, which can also convert Booleans to numbers. So I'm going to now initiate another value of let var bool. And I'm going to just initiate it, not assign it anything. So now let's take that var bool. So var bool, and use the number method on it. And let's type in here false. Now let's console log the var bool. Let's see what happens. Now it prompts me with 0. So 0 is false, and if I change this to true, then it should result in 1. Okay, and if I check the type of, you can see it is a number. Okay guys, so that's pretty much it for converting types. See you in the next one. Bye bye.